Your audio, make this bigger. Let's see. That's speakers. I want this. Yeah. And it's only giving me this one. I think that's the front one. Nope, it's the right one. Yay! Excellent. Yes, let's see if we can figure out
I didn't know my hair was.
how to move this thing. View, admit.
Lift it up a little straighten.
Yes, on camera now. So I'll move that to where you guys are off camera. I know that there's usually supposed to be some notice of whenever that takes place. Am I being recorded today? Damn it. All right. Getting there, almost there. It moves so fast. It's almost like it'd work better if it were like a manual camera. I could walk back there and just move. But no, we're going to press this button 2 dozen times. Keep going. Okay, almost there. Once I get this camera set up, everyone, I will move into view. And then I will run away, and then I will come back. We got about 4 minutes. And I need to go grab some markers because I don't completely trust the ones that I have. Last time, man, they worked all right, but I like to have a couple extra. I will be right back. Go. Okay. Let's see if we can do admit all. Okay. How loud is it? It sounds really quiet all of a sudden. That's a little better. Yeah. I should be able to hear you. Let's also check speakers. Headphones. What if I do that? See what that does. Makes absolutely no difference. Whatever. All right. Well, let's do. We're going to say share screen today. This is screen 1. And I need to show you this. This is Crim Law 1. Don't care about setting up audio settings. So how many of you have been in Blackboard since yesterday? A couple of you. Did you see I posted up a whole bunch of stuff in there? So here's what I did. I went through and added in. Actually, there's only a couple things. Section 5 and quiz 3. We're still down here. So we're in today. Are we 3 or 4. I think it's 3. Let's double check that. Yep. I saw the statutes there. This is the one. Probably already downloaded. It is. Cancel. All right. Nope, that's the wrong one. Maybe I do need to download this one. Where'd it go? Download. Yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, open that up. We'll keep that up. And I may actually use the PowerPoint on this one a little bit, because if I remember correctly, I think there's some information on the PowerPoint that's not well outlined here. Because remember, I have to talk to you about physical versus, I should say, factual versus legal impossibilities. Let's double check that. I think I should download it. All right, so it is now 11 o'clock. Let's do things a little bit different. We'll start with the lesson, then I'll ask you what's going on in the world. Okay. It's really close to full house. Let's see who's missing. It's become easier for me to record who's not here than who is here. I like that as a problem. All right. So let's start out with, we're going to recap a lesson that we had already. Do I have enough pens? My goodness. Not knowing who's not here. I need my list. Do I have that? I do not see it. Tell you what I'll do. Everybody's gonna be on camera for a second. How's that? Yeah, I saw that look. That's true. We're gonna stop sharing for a second. So we got Brendan, Cortez, Reba, Stefan, and Taylor on the line. And then we'll do this real quick. And you guys can see the whole class if I do this, right? If it lets me do that. Let's say, we're just gonna say spotlight and say front camera. Boom. There's just about everybody. Who's not visible is Canon and Race. So now I've got that on the record. Yay. I can stop that. Say right here, share screen 1. Boom. We're back to this. Okay, so I popped out there the new sections. It's keeping with the timeline. What will happen is as we finish up a section, I'll tell you, okay, I'm getting ready to close, quiz 1. Quiz 1 was due 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to close it yet. I'll probably leave everything open until we hit the point at which we get to, what is it, the midterm in here. I'll probably leave all this open. At midterm, I'll close everything down and be like, you haven't turned it in yet. It's like, maybe I'll give you another opportunity, but maybe I won't. So get things done as you can. And as we cover them, I'll tell you, it's like, okay, you need to be finishing those up about now. Let's see. So quiz 3 would be due. Assignment 1 should be due, I think, tonight. Nope, that was last week. I'll grade those probably tonight because I've been running about a week behind. So that's what I did in here. Of course, class videos. I don't think I've ever formally announced those. If you guys ever missed a class, since we have that Zoom component, I record all the classes and they get posted up here. And so you can just click into any one of these links and it will take you to that. So that's there. If you missed class, do let me know. Also go watch what you missed because what will happen is like, you got an excused absence. I'm not going to look at that too heavily. I won't cross-reference that with these to say you get the points or you don't. But if you don't have an excused absence, you watch the video from the class that you missed, that'll help you because I will do that. Right? If you're excused, you're excused. If you're not, you need to find some way to get the material we're talking about because I didn't select the textbook. You can go read all the cases online and that kind of stuff yourself and start getting in that. Trust me. All right. So today's question today, the first thing is, what were your, I just got this out of a box saying it was in the Oklahoma number calling. One moment. Hello. That's correct. I have a thing on Thursday, so it's like I gotta be answering that one this time. Right. Let's try it. In the first amendment. What were those rights again? There's 5 of them outlined. Speech.
Petition,
religion and petition.
assembly.
Getting one. Yeah. You want a free press? You don't speak freely, have your own freedom of religion. What is petition, by the way? Let's say that, and it wasn't until recently I was like, you know what? I should probably be real clear what that means. Couldn't hear you. Can be, that's more along the lines with this one and this one. And I mean, these are gonna be tied into some degree. This one's more about like redress, a formal way to go about getting some type of redress for any type of grievances. You can petition for that kind of thing. Sometimes it's the legal system, sometimes it's less so. Okay, so. Things that are associated, I picked this one up out before and I put the cap back on, and I don't know which one it is. That's absent-minded. Okay, so you mentioned that was protest. So we do need to talk about that, because that is a question based. Do we have, how many of these things do we functionally actually have, and to what degree? Right? So. Is that covered? How many of you say yes? 2,
I don't know.
3, 2, just 2? Okay, I'm not asking what it should be. How many is that covered? Do you have it? Yes or no? No, I can't see chat. This did not admit that person when I told it to admit them. Highlighter. There we go. There's chat. Inalienable rights. Yes. They should be something that we possess. I've got 2 saying we have it, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. Okay, that's better. 6, how many of you say no? So half you didn't answer? Why not?
I'm gonna add.
Okay, so we got a 7, yes. How many of you say no? How many willing you to take a stand? How many of you are that are willing to take a stand to say yes? This is a right. Half, I guess that's a majority, but if half of the public says you don't have a right, guess what? People like power. I like controlling other things. Hell, you give me other people to control, I might be a particularly cruel bastard. Right? If I am, do you think I'm going to want you to have this ability? Absolutely not. Okay. If you guys don't have a strong resounding yes, then no. The answer is no, because it's going to be you to determine what rights you have. Population, we're dealing with society. That's all of you. Right? That's a question. But we're not going to say yes. We're going to put question. We don't know. Okay. That's kind of where we're at in society right now. We start saying, okay, this plus this can equal that. Whether or not it does or not is a different question. We're not quite to the public order stuff yet, so we're not talking about this, a riot. That's different. We're just talking about that. Someone will come to this. Right now, we're dealing with precursors to even this. Okay. We'll pick off the next easy one. Because it doesn't really have to do with any of you directly. More than you consume it. Now, is our press free? In theory. Sponsor? What about them? Okay. Who puts ads in your newspaper? Local businesses, you're talking local. National business, you're talking national. How much money are we dealing with? The bigger you get, the more money it is, right? The more it runs like a business, the more it uses money to function. I just got we'll say $300 million contract with Johnson and Johnson. What's the likelihood I'm going to start running negative pieces, news pieces about my sponsor? Yeah. Right? How many of these have funding that come from governmental sources? Okay. That's one. Okay. How many of these have governmental workers who've had careers in government who shift over here making $6-7 figure salaries? Right? This isn't my conspiratorial class. We are into conspiracies for this section, so I'll talk about one for just a second. If I said Mockingbird, as in, is it Project Mockingbird? You guys ever heard of that? Probably, I got one of you who has. This was brought up in the 1960s, JFK. We're going to stage a false flag attack in the Gulf of Mexico and start war. That way we're justified in starting war. That war never happened. JF Kennedy decided, no, we're not going to do that. His plan was we're going to use governmental assets. We're going to infiltrate the press and control it, right? When we have these values, these assets in place, we can now use that to affect the media. We can then float this story and make it look like it's real. And we're at war, and guess what? We're justified. Is it free? There are some big questions with how it runs right now. Right? If I ask you whether you watch Fox News or CNN, why the hell am I even asked that as a question? It comes into political affiliation. It's like, why is that even a question? I don't know, but it sure as hell is today's world, right? No, that one does not exist. My opinion on that, kind of negative. Not, what's the word I'm looking for? When someone's old, tired, and very, very negative. Bitter. There you go. That's a word. That'll work. Okay. Next one. Petition, since that deals with the government, we'll deal with that one last. We'll say, since we're talking about predominantly this one, let's deal with this. Speech. Do you have it? Yes or no? Is it free? Raise your hand if you say yes, you have the freedom to speak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Much better. Those of you online. Do we have free speech?
Limitations to free speech, is it free?
Say that predominantly yes online. You brought up a good point. So yes, got a couple of you saying yes. There should be. I'd be surprised most of you don't say yes, particularly with the fact I just looked through. If you don't agree on this, you don't have it. Why? Because it takes all of society to recognize it. So that's good. You guys are listening. Is it limited? Yes, very much so. How much so? Well, you've got the legal side, which we'll get into, right? We're starting to get into some of these crimes today. What we're not talking about is, okay, how many of you have self-censored, meaning you've caught yourself from saying something because it could be misinterpreted and could completely destroy your life? Only one of you so far. I say so far. Yeah, I say so far. Give it 10 years and you'll see how many times you have to keep your mouth shut, because if you say something, you might lose your livelihood. You might get in some type of trouble. There might be legal involved, whether it's a civil suit or criminal, because of what you say, right? So it's definitely limited. To what degree? Okay, we'll stop there for a second and then we'll ask about the other ones. Assembly. Do we have the right to assemble? Yes or no? Peaceful? Ideally, if you look at the specific line, well, isn't there a viral video about that a couple years back whenever you started having the protests and some of them were turning into riots, and it's like, where does it say peaceful? And it's like right there in the damn amendment. It's like it says peaceful, right there. Right? Yes, if you want to stay legal, yes, but we're just talking about the ability to assemble, to gather, to congregate together today. How many of you say yes? Raise your hands. I mean, you're here, right? Most of you. You didn't raise your hand. You didn't raise your hand. You didn't raise your hand. Why? Don't know. You don't know. But someone more says you don't. I like that as an answer. That's lawfare. Right? Someone's got enough money that you keep inside of the legal system, they'll destroy your entire life. Before you ever get an answer, you'll have to stop before you get the resolution that you so aptly deserve. That's lawfare. Got that going on right now all across the country. Okay. The question. Okay. What kinds of assemblies do we have as a society? In what ways do we gather? Protest. Yeah, you can do this. What binds those types of things? It can be politics, right? That's a common one, right? Could be ideology, right? A whole set of common beliefs. Maybe it's a common problem. Maybe it's religious, right? Some people gather about once a week and meet in some building and say some words. It's more than that, but essentially that's the case, right? Religion, any number of reasons why people might gather together. Yes, there are some groups we don't want to gather together, but we as a people, we have that right, yes? Do we? Do we? For several years, you were told you can't go to certain places, you can't meet at your workplace, you can't do these things in certain places in this country. Right? Do we have that ability? Question. At what point does society start to go off the rails? You agree things start coming more and more into question? That's not a good sign for society, right? That's assembly. Okay. What about religion? I mentioned that a couple times. Do we have religion? Freedom of religion? Yeah, you can choose to be whatever you want. In theory. Are there some that are preferred? I don't mean like you personally prefer one. I mean like as in some are treated differently than others. Yes, religious groups are definitely treated differently than others. Okay. So what's changed in society? Has anything changed in society? What the hell am I going on about? You're probably wondering. Yes. Yes. Okay. Hold that thought, and we're going to talk about speech a little bit more. That is excellent. You can smear it all around. Okay, that doesn't work anymore either. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I couldn't see that. That's probably the other end. Okay. So when you're talking with someone, hold on. There's alcohol in here too. Let's see if it's a combination of the two. Because when you mix alcohol with stuff, things always get better, right? Yes, no. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's so much better. Yeah, no, whatever. Okay. So whenever we're dealing with speech. Let's go with this one. Statements. Right, you can make statements. Sometimes we ask. We'll just say ask. We won't say question, we'll just ask. And if we want to get beyond an ask, let's say there's some hierarchy to our relationship. What is a request from a supervisor to a subordinate? That's not a request, that's a what? What would you do, right? Where were you? I can ask you, maybe I should ask it differently. You have a certain experience that you had over the weekend, last few days, right? They ask you anything?
Yeah, can you ask me?
No, I mean, when you were there, the people you're dealing with, those who are over you, did they ask you or did they tell you?
Kind of both.
Yeah, right? There's times where it's called for both. Military kind of stuff, right? You have orders. And then you have the stuff that you volunteer for. God, that is just amazing. I'm giving up on that whole section of the board right now. Right? Orders. Right? There's a difference with the level of, it's not certainty. The expectations associated with each of those things, right? I can say statements and you might infer something about those things. We'll talk about, what would be a good example? Let's say. You're at work, your coworker is there, it's early in the morning. They're really, really groggy. They're talking about how they had very, very little sleep. He's like, you're right over next to the coffee machine, right? You could take those statements, and I'll do something nice and make them a cup of coffee, right? They could ask you for a cup of coffee. Their boss will be like, hey, I need a cup of coffee. Would you go? No, it's like, they're asking you, but it's really an order, right? That's gonna vary quite a bit. When we start looking at the crime of it, here's where I want to get to. I thought I downloaded that. I did. I think. We'll see if that comes up. Anticipatory offenses, parties to crime. So we've been talking a little bit about anticipatory stuff already. I want to leave that up. Let's leave that up. I want to bring, it's right. Is this it right here? Of course, it's right in the way. Bing. Started. There we go. Okay. That is weird. I don't know why I did it like that. Let's try this. End slideshow. Maybe if I grab it, move it to this screen and I tell it to go back here, it'll pop it up correctly. Ah, no. Whatever. That's the way today's going. Okay. So you've heard of this term before, solicitation. Here, an act that commands, encourages, demands another person. Basically act, commit a crime. Intent, promoting or facilitating a crime. Right? Solicitation is an ask, can be a demand, but you're really talking about an ask. It's, there is this opportunity available. Hell, I can even add an incentive, right? When I say solicitation, the first word that comes to your mind is, what's the first word that comes to your mind when I say solicitation? Yes, you're reading my mind. It's a dangerous place. Yes, prostitution. Why? Because it's so common. You say solicitation, prostitution. Prostitution is an extremely common crime. Right? Solicitation. Pretty person, maybe not, out on a street corner, right? They will fulfill your needs. You have a need or a desire. That's a hell of an incentive, right? All I'm doing is meeting a need. Defenses, it says here, notifying the person solicited, giving timely warning to the force. Basically, what's talking about here is abandonment. So you basically abandon that, you notify this person solicited. It's like, yeah, I no longer want to engage in these things. I don't want to, that kind of thing, or it can be like, hey. So-and-so is offering this opportunity over there, you should notify authorities. Statement. A request can be demanded. The more certain you are down here, the more likely you are to get something related to the speech related crimes. This is the first one. Right? What else do I want to tell you? Let's look at PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, outline, see what it says. There's some other points I need to hit and some things I want to talk about. Okay. Talk about anticipatory already. We'll get more into that later. Soliciting. Soliciting another person to commit a crime is a crime itself. So asking alone. An ask alone can be a crime. And depending on how many of these you've made, maybe I can infer intent. And the reason why I asked you the question earlier today is I have made many, I think in here maybe. I've notified, made allusions to the fact that you are the most documented generation to exist. Every word you put in a certain venues is recorded forever. Forever. Right? Meaning the things that can be used against you at some point in time are cumulative. Right? Do you have free speech? Well, let's go back to that self-censoring thing, self-censoring thing. It's like, you may not have done it yet. There will be points at which you do. In fact, that you haven't is a really good sign. Like that's great. You make sure you don't do that as much as possible. But that will be what hangs you. Right? Now, how do we sort out the people who deserve to be stopped and those who don't? How do we identify those people? How do we know that their speech is soliciting something criminal? And how do we know that we need to stop them? Some things are easy. Prostitution, it's pretty easy to identify. It's like, that's what they're doing. We need to make sure that that's put a stop to that.
Are you calling for violence?
You can have those too. Ooh. How do we know what's called for violence?
Other than just reading the statements, so like post on social media, calling people like the at the Capitol or something like that.
Yeah. Ooh. That's not solicitation so much, is it? Can we start moving towards? Okay, there's the statute for solicitation or prostitution in Oklahoma. Sometimes they break them out into separate statutes. This one just has one name, just prostitution, and different ones. The second one here is the one that relates to solicitation. Solicit, induce, entice, procure, the act of lewdness, don't ask me to pronounce that, or prostitution yourself, right? It talks about location, certain activities, aiding and abetting we'll get to. So you'll see definitions for these things in there. But there's where you really get to the solicitation. The next one is intents. We'll come back to that. Conspiracy will come back to because we're not quite there yet. I want to get to, I guess I didn't have statute or slides. That's sad. All right, where'd it go? It says it's right here. Let's try that again. Bing, bing, bing. Now there are some specific ones to incitation. I thought I had in here. Maybe I don't. Maybe they're down here. No, it's just got solicitation. That's sad. Because here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show some stuff that will cause some interesting things. Let me make that a little bit bigger. In case you're not watching this in the world. Okay, how many of you have heard about that? Boots, they're so good. What the hell? All right, let's bring that headline back up. Where is it at? There we go. New Mexico's governor temporarily bans carrying guns in public places. This was one, that was the second one. So we're dealing with a different issue to some degree, right? Maybe. There's some overlap there. Have you heard about this? Okay. Here's what's going on in New Mexico. This is a state that within the last few years has legalized concealed carry. They may have some open carry statutes. The concealed carry is a federal requirement that you have in place in your state because we have the Second Amendment. And so you have someone who is quite literally, what they're doing is issuing. I'm going to say two words. Does anyone know what they are? Issuing. Let's see if it pops up. Prior to issuing the executive orders, there's that word again, that term. You're gonna be seeing that one a lot. You've already seen that one a lot. It's coming up again. Each time it happens, what does it do? It limits you, right? So in a state that has recently made such actions as to legalize carrying, we have one particular person in one particular place with governmental authority who says no. It's likely the police officers in those areas are going to follow those orders. Some will, some won't, right? What'll end up happening is you'll have, and probably what's happened in places like that is there's been years of things going on that's driven away good officers, right? Because if you have policies put in place like that, the good ones will leave. You tell me I have to, or I lose my job, fuck you, I'm getting a new job, right? The ones who can't, or the ones who don't want to and like their power, they'll stay. So I'd be surprised if that's not done. Right, if they don't start doing that. Okay, so that one's a question. If I said, do I have one in here about this? Maybe the next one. By the way, it's a public health thing, just like the last one. That's really interesting. I think there's my next one. Let's see if that's the next email. Nope, that's the last one. Yeah, I've got some more things here to show you. Okay. Question about religion. So what's new in the world? This was 1838. This is just one of many things that are religious. Different place, different society, different people. This is where the governor issued an executive order that would allow for extermination or driven from the state. They'd moved into Missouri. They had the wrong ideas. Yes, people died. Yes, people who were driven from the state, they died too. And because if it's like winter time in the 1830s, yeah, that's a death sentence. So a whole bunch of people died here, and that was acceptable to the state. I mean, I want to say I saw another article because it popped up in my head. It's like, let's bring this one up because people need to realize that these things are a question, not a statement. Every amendment, every right that's written there is a question on whether or not you as a people recognize it, whether we actually have it. So, was there ever a time I could legally kill someone based on the religious belief? In Missouri, yes, starts in 1838, runs until, where was that? States, Mormon, yeah, we already got that. Don't care about that. Oh, that was all the way until 1976. That's almost 100 years, right? No, that's longer than 100 years. That's 1830. Yeah, 138 years. What's new in the world? Not a whole lot. We're trying to figure out where we're at in society. One of the big things right now is what can you say, what you can't you say? Do your words cause actions in others? Question, because some do, right? If I said, here's the next one. Gun owners rally in Old Town to protest public health order. That's yesterday, New Mexico. So they start protesting. What are they doing when they protest it? They're in direct violation of those executive orders. What's going to happen? Like, that's going to escalate. Where do you see it going? Okay. Yeah, I say PDFs because what will happen is those things will die at some point, those news articles and such. That's not what I want. That's assessment numbers. I thought I had another one in here. Sent. I guess I just grabbed those two. Interesting. I would have swore I had on there if I said, okay, so that's solicitation. You also have some incitation. I'm surprised I don't have one in there specifically to it. Let's check this because I want to pull this up if I've got it readily available. Criminal law, we're in 3. Nope, I don't have it listed there. Oh, well. Anyhow, we'll say this guy, Enrique Tarrio. I may have mentioned him before in class. Does that name sound familiar, Enrique Tarrio? No? Yeah. I don't care about this. What I want is maybe this one. Maybe it's in my drafts. Maybe I didn't click send because I had a couple articles in here that I wanted to show you all. Drafts, no attachments. Damn it. Nope. I don't know where that one went then. That's going to drive me nuts. Okay. So this person most of you never heard of is the leader of the Proud Boys, associated with what day in infamy? January 6th. Yes, January 6th. Well, they often just say J6, right? No, you get away. What he got was this. Let's see if we got that in there. This isn't the article. It didn't give me the actual article. That's awesome. It just gave me one line. That's not helpful at all. We'll try CNN. As you can see, he got 22 years, the longest of the January 6th defendants. Let's go through this. Seditious conspiracy. We'll get to the conspiracy stuff to prevent power. Donald Trump. Yeah, whatever. Serious charge, serious issue. I mean, let's not blow that off. It isn't. What we want to get to is we want to get down to this. Okay. I was dressed in orange. Got some notes here trying to sell the salaciousness of it, I guess. Here's where we want to get to it. Did not honor down this kind of thing. Or Constitution to prevent is what the judge said. Respectfully disagree. Appellate process. Okay, let's start here. Here we go. Took longer to get to it. Was the ultimate leader, ultimate person, organized, motivated, quit giving me ads, revolutionary zeal, so on and so forth. He wasn't even there. He was arrested days before the riot for burning a DC church Black Lives Matter banner and bringing a high-capacity rifle into the district. Was ordered to leave the city. 22 years not there, right? Not present, didn't enter it. Is that justice? It's a hell of a question. I wasn't a juror, so I don't know for certain. But what I can say is, speaking, that's what that is. That's this. It could just be this, right? Or it could be going down like this. We won't know until we look at the actual materials given to the jury, if they become publicly available, but that's how that works, right? So that could be just statements that he had made about political things. All right. If I said, oh, what is it? About that Black Lives Matter banner. Let's see if this pulls up. So there's some justice there. You shouldn't take other people's stuff and burn it. True. That church got $1 million for that. So it's like, okay, there's some justice there. Is 22 years right? I don't know. I'd have to look further. But what's really interesting is, well, a few things. I want to bring this up. We'll say DC church burned protest. That's the one I was looking for. I know I have this in my email somewhere. ATF looking to identify man caught on surveillance following fire at historic DC church during BLM protests. This is at the White House itself. This is the church St. John's. What's it called? St. John's. There's more to the name. It's Episcopal Church, right? Investigators from DC police are identifying this one person. So they've got the person they think did it. But that's not all the damage that happened. If you look down here, it says Chaos erupted at Lafayette Square Park near the White House where protesters started a bonfire. Building the fire, so they're setting things on fire. Tear gas was deployed, fireworks. So small scale explosives being thrown at people, authorities included, and basically pushing back and such. It's like that happened on May. It was like the end of May, right? Beginning of July or June. That was 2020, right? What happens when you have that kind of a protest? We're setting fire to things, complete evacuation of the White House, all that kind of stuff. Is it an attack on the White House? Are we talking about domestic terrorism? Are we talking about political things? Are we talking about that speech, assembly, and protest? Like, we're still figuring all that stuff out, and we don't have good answers for any of it right now. Do we see this kind of stuff escalating, or is it kind of dying out? Is it, are we starting to figure these things out where we're getting along as a people, or are we falling apart? What are we doing? Right? Okay. That's enough about that. Okay. Anticipatory parties to the crime and elements of solicitation. Covered that. Elements in general. For an attempt, we'll come back to attempts in a minute. First, we're going to go to rather conspiracy. I think I might want to jump into parties to a crime. Then we'll come back to conspiracies. Two types, right? Principal and accessory. Principal is you did it yourself. Accessory is someone you're attached to, right? Someone you're attached to did this crime. Before and after the fact. You know, beforehand, incites that's not present actually or constructively before the crime was committed, right? At the fact, knowing that typically a felony has been committed, they aid, comfort, or assist the perpetrator in any way, really. Because you're in any way you're helping that person at that point in time, you're helping them avoid apprehension and conviction. You're aware of their crimes. You now are aiding and abetting. Now, this isn't a lesson so much on politics as it is speech. Politics is included because so much of what's going on right now related to speech is political in nature. That's why I bring it up. That's why the politics thing annoys the hell out of me. I don't like politics. The issues are interesting, but what's going on with speech is worrisome because that politics thing is working against both sides, against our speech, right? It's no longer what you did, it's what your friends did, right? Are you aware of the things that they're engaging in, right? Well, I know that this person's associated with this group. You know, this group is famous for this, right? Did something that benefited them? Now you're a part. Right. Things to think about, things to be looking at, elements. Do you need to find the principal guilty? You're going to be an accessory. Typically, yes, that's what will happen. You see one person will get hammered hard first, then they go after the accessories because you have to have typically that proven. Was there a crime and actually committed? Well, if you can get a jury to say yes, that's met, right? An act in a mental state. Basically, that mental state is, were you aware? If so, then that's met. Anything that aids and you were aware. Accomplice liability. This one basically is talking about is abandonment here again. If you notify the authorities or some other ways, try to stop any aid that you've helped that person, at that point in time, you've abandoned helping that person. Like, okay, I'll give you a place to stay. Well, wait, you're hiding out because you're on the run. Get the fuck out of here. That's abandonment, right? To make sure that you're completely covered, just turn around and call the police. Oh, a congregation. If I said gang members in congregation, yeah. Do we allow gang members to congregate after they've been caught actively engaging in criminal activity with gangs? No. You're specifically banned from meeting with these people. So no, congregation, there's some installed. Every right you have has limitations. Figuring out what those lines are is of the utmost importance. The Wharton rule. That one will come up again under conspiracies and some of these other ones. Basically what that means is, if it's a crime that requires multiple people to commit, you can't also get them for things like conspiracy because, hey, let's like prostitution, right? Me and a prostitute. I'm agreeing on how much I want to give her for her services, right? Is that a conspiracy? I mean, we're conspiring, yes, but no, because it's just the two of us and it requires both of us to do it, right? That's what I'm bringing the pimp. Maybe if you start dealing with the pimp firsthand, then you start getting maybe worse conspiracy, that kind of stuff. Okay. So conspiracy. Problem of a definition. Yes. Because think about all the different things that can involve conspiracies, right? Think of all the different places conspiracies can exist, the different forms. And what you're basically talking about are informal agreements, right? Most frequently verbal. Meaning you're not typically going to have what someone's recorded. You might have that, but not usually unless it's written. And then you're talking about texts and emails and that kind of thing. So it becomes more difficult. The more people are involved, the more difficult it is. Let's say, if I said January 6th and I said explosives, do any of you know what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about fireworks. Those are technically explosives too. Don't get me wrong. Go ahead.
Were there like cars and buses full of pipe bombs around like government buildings?
Mailboxes and things like that too. Why have we not heard a damn word about that? I don't know. How do you get explosives into the Capitol and place them at and around public or governmental buildings? No fucking clue, because these things have tight scrutiny and security. But yeah, those were reported on widely in the days following January. Not again. Like, what's going on? I don't know. But let's take that situation, right? Conspiracy. Let's say it's all a conspiracy, right? I am going to influence my direct reports to go out and gather people for this protest. My direct reports know that we're going to amp this up and we're going to become violent after what? We'll have some type of symbol, whether it's some type of sign, whether it's, you know, when they take said action inside the building or whenever there's this action that takes place, or at this time, that's when we're going to start this, right? Okay. I want you to go work with Race to work on the pipe bombs around the Capitol. I want you to go work on making sure that the rifles are distributed to the people who need them. I want you to make sure that we got people who are unstable in these certain locations. So that way, when things get wild, they die. I don't care. Right. And so let's say that was me making all these decisions, but let's say it's not. Right. You know, you're on explosives. You know that you're on weapons. You know, you're on, yes, organization, logistics of people. Right. I won't say it formally because it's an informal thing. How do you establish that all of those plans work together? How do you establish that, for example, you and you are connected whenever it's not quite as direct as that, right? It isn't easy to do that. And just like with attempts, you need to have that dividing line where it goes from something completely theoretical to something real. You need an act. Now, what does that mean in terms of preparation or perpetration? That's a question for next time. Cool. You guys learn some things, these things feel a little uncomfortable society, because it should be. I would be. I am. This stuff is very much in question right now, and where we draw those lines will determine the rest of your lives. And that's going to happen in very short order. So, things to look forward to, I suppose. With that, I will see you all on Wednesday. We'll finish this section out. And then we'll get ready to move into defenses. Those will move, that's about to take a class or two. And then we'll move into murder, and that's going to take at least 4 or 5 classes. That'll be fun. We like to move.
Hi, Professor.
That's not there, and it's not. It never happened.
Hey, Professor,
All
can
right.
can you hear me?
With that, I will see you all next time.
Hey, can you hear
Have a
me?
great day. And if you need anything, let me know. Bye.